And this all seems like a pretty timely time to have the Shadow Home Affairs Minister and the Shadow Cybersecurity Minister, James Paterson, with us. James, good to see you. Thanks for your time. So there's a bit to get through this morning in your field. So let's start with Elon Musk. He's again needled the Australian government overnight, posting that Australians want the truth and basically not censorship. Is Australia on the right or wrong side here?
Good morning, Pete. Well, it was the former coalition government who introduced the E-Safety Commissioner as a statutory office in the federal government and who passed laws following the Christchurch terrorist attack that made it unlawful to broadcast abhorrent, violent material. You couldn't broadcast it on your television program. That means it shouldn't also be accessible on social media platforms. Otherwise, we know it's going to fall into the hands of kids. And so absolutely the E-Safety Commissioner and the Albanese government are right to ask for this to be removed from Australia's jurisdiction. Having said that, we do not play the role and we do not have the power to be the world's global censor of the internet, and we shouldn't aspire to do that. That's for other countries to decide what content their children
Let me just pull you up there, because that's exactly the point that Elon Musk is making, right? So he says all fair enough within Australia, but then he says, why should an unelected official, that's the E-Safety Commissioner, get to decide what happens beyond Australia's borders?
Well, elected or unelected, I don't want foreign governments deciding what Australians can access on X or any other social media platform. I particularly don't want authoritarian governments requiring Twitter or X or any other company to take down things, whether it's the Russian government or the Chinese government or the Iranian government or the North Korean government. It's for democracies to decide what's accessible within our own borders and what our permissible limits of free speech are. We've done so. We've passed legislation. X should comply with that.
Yeah, so in that sense, do you support the injunction continuing today or not? And it's expected to expire at about 5 p.m.
Well, that's a matter for the courts to decide, but as I've said, as a matter of principle, it is our right to set limits within our jurisdiction, what our citizens can access. The Parliament's done that by passing this legislation. We do not have extraterritorial rights to censor the internet globally.
Yeah, so what I'm asking though is Elon Musk, is he right to make the stand that he's making then on that point?
Well, it's up to him to contest that in the court. I don't have a view on that. I'm just saying, as a matter of principle, our laws do not apply to citizens of other countries. For example, the United States has a First Amendment, a free speech amendment. It would not be lawful to comply with the request of the Australian government to censor content that violated the First Amendment free speech principles in the United States. And we shouldn't ask the United States, and its 350 million people, to live and abide by our laws. They've got their own laws and their own Congress to do that for them.
Okay. It sounds like you agree with him, but just on the position that he's making, but I've got to move on. Still with social media, though, a warning to come today from our top security and police chiefs who warn platforms are being used by extremists to provoke a race war, discuss weapon making and propaganda. They will say that we want access to encrypted systems. Will it be that easy, though, given that these bosses of social media companies aren't really keen on playing ball?
Pete, we do have good cooperation with some tech companies on the national security mission. In the past, they've been very supportive of these things. But it is an extraordinary state of affairs that the Director-General of ASIO and the Commissioner of the AFP feel the need to stand up at the National Press Club and effectively beg them to cooperate. Again, we passed laws on this. The previous government in 2018 passed laws that allowed the lawful access to encrypted communications in Australia from these companies. They have to facilitate those requests. And if they're not facilitating those requests, we've got a huge problem.